Oh, that's the Galaxy A17, right? What's new on it? The Galaxy A10 series has been Samsung's absolute worldwide bestseller for years now. Naturally, with a new version number, we have a long list of improvements, right? We'll take a deep dive into the design, display, performance, battery, and cameras to figure out exactly what the true differences are. Hey, I'm Olive, your host here at Versus.com. Oh, and here's a huge shout out to Ronaldo, Mustafa, Cesarizm, and Paulino for joining our Ultra tier. Thanks a lot for your support. If you also want to become a Versus member, check the join button below. Alright, you're gonna hear the word same quite a bit throughout this review because these phones are almost clones of each other. However, one main difference on the A17 is the new camera design that matches the rest of Samsung's current A series lineup. Both the A17 and the A16 have matte flat plastic frames and plastic backs, but the one on the A17 has been reinforced with glass fibers for extra strength. As for the weight, the A17 is actually a little lighter, coming in at 191 grams, while the A16 weighs 197 grams. We're getting just an IP54 protection rating here, however, that's enough to keep most dust from sneaking into these phones and protect them from splashes like rain, pumpkin spice latte, or orange juice. For security, we've got side-mounted fingerprint scanners built into the power buttons. So as always, let's check in with the team and see who likes which design best.
The A17.
The A17.
The A16.
The A17.
The A17.
The A16. What about you?
I'm going for the A17. Now let's dive into those displays. Both the A17 and the A16 pack the exact same 6.7-inch AMOLED panel with a 90Hz refresh rate. We threw them under simulated sunlight at over 100,000 lux and measured the typical high brightness using a full white screen. As expected, their levels were pretty much on par. It was a similar situation for the peak brightness, with both looking virtually identical. Now, for even more info on screen specs, feel free to pause the video right here. So, while the screens themselves haven't changed, the A17 does give you a little extra peace of mind because its screen protection has been upgraded to Gorilla Glass Victus. Other than that though, you're looking at the same resolution, the same PPI, and unfortunately, the same lack of HDR support. But while these screens are totally solid for a budget phone, what about the sound coming out of them? Audio playback, we're dealing with single speakers on both Galaxies, both placed at the bottom. Let's hear them sing the songs of their people.
Smoking on his eye, swear really got me fried. I've been through a lot, I swear it helps me clear my mind. We put some work on the streets, we in overdrive. Saving 30% just to pay the fines. Only hit my phone if you need a 3-5. We're making business moves, everyone is justified. My old lady dialed me up like when you coming home. I'm a man in these streets is my home.
I think it goes without saying that these single speakers are just pretty weak. The volume is low and there is no bass whatsoever. So you'd definitely be better off grabbing a pair of headphones to truly enjoy your multimedia experience. By the way, we know that a lot of you guys are watching our videos, but you haven't subscribed yet. So if you want more of these deep comparisons, make sure to smash that subscribe button right below. Oh, and if you want to take a closer look at either of these budget Galaxies, remember that we've always got direct links for you down in the description. Alright, now let's shift gears and check out those cameras. For the main shooters, we've got identical 50-megapixel modules on both phones. Photos taken with these cams are totally correct and their colors are pretty much the same. However, we did notice the A17 captures slightly more detail. Indoors, it is the same story, both do an overall good job, but again, you can clearly see the A17 grabbing more fine detail, like in my jeans, for example. For the ultra-wide cameras, we're stuck with only 5-megapixel lenses, which, yes, sounds a bit tiny. In practice, we honestly hoped for better quality, but photos just come out extremely dark on overcast days like this, and they lack a ton of detail. Funnily enough, indoors, the detail doesn't magically appear, but we have to say those photos actually look a bit better than the ones we captured outside. You do get portrait mode on both phones, but you can only use the main camera and you can't zoom in at all. Despite this limitation, we got a pleasant surprise here. Even though the edge detection isn't up to the level of the Galaxy S series phones, the shots still look crisp, and the background blur actually looks correct. For video with the main cam, both Galaxies max out at 1080p 30fps. So while you're definitely not getting 4K resolution on either, the video quality is actually alright. There is a bit of camera shake in the footage though, so you're gonna want to try your best to keep your hand steady while you're shooting. You get the same 1080p 30fps for ultrawide video too. Video with these ultrawide lenses does look a little worse than the main camera, but for us, it actually looks strangely better than the still photos we snapped with the same lens. Up front, we have yet another identical component, a 13 megapixel camera. Honestly, this cam is actually quite good. It does have fixed focus, but it captures colors and detail really well. We honestly would expect this kind of quality from some higher end devices. The low light performance is also not bad. We have some visible noise, but these are still good photos. Interestingly, the A16 actually delivered a sharper shot compared to the A17. For video, you're once again limited to 1080p 30fps here on both phones. Video, however, is the weak side of these cams because, as we mentioned, they have a fixed focus, so you will look completely blurry if you film from too far away. Stabilization is also basically non-existent, so you really want to hold these phones super steadily while recording.
So now let's test out the audio on both of these devices and see if there have been any improvements. We'll start off with the A16 5G. What do you guys think? How do I sound over here? Then moving on to the A17. Is it any better than the other one? What do we think? As always, let's talk about it.
So the audio itself is just alright. We don't have any advanced background noise reduction or speech enhancement, so try not to vlog with these phones in the middle of a carnival, okay? Now, both of these phones pack a third lens, but unfortunately, it is not a telephoto. So if you want to zoom in, this is the kind of photo that you'll get at 2x digital zoom, which is not bad, but honestly, we wouldn't zoom further because, for example, at the limit of 10x zoom, everything gets extremely blurry, as you can see with our rich small friend Bartholomew. That third lens we talked about is a rather unnecessary 2 megapixel macro lens. And we call it unnecessary because, as you can see, photos are just alright given the tiny size of the lens. There's plenty of detail lost and the colors look very off. Honestly, you're better off taking a photo with the main camera and then cropping it afterwards. Now let's block the sun and take a look at some low light shots. Despite both phones using the same main cameras, the A17 definitely has a better tuned algorithm for low light, because its longer exposure lets it capture more detailed shots. However, Samsung apparently just left the ultrawide cameras alone because we see no improvements whatsoever here. Portrait mode shots are slightly brighter on the A17 since they're taken with the main lens, but in general, they're still far from perfect. Videos with the main cam look a tiny bit better on the A17, but both are still super blurry. The A16 also has this strange, super shaky effect that we're not sure if it's a lens issue or a software bug. Finally, ultrawide video is just extremely rough. We can barely see what's going on in the scene. Everything looks deep fried like that traumatized Mr. Incredible meme. So you're basically getting the exact same hardware setup on both phones. However, in the software department, the A17 brings some modest improvements to the main camera, especially when shooting in low light. At the end of the day though, you've got to remember that these are budget phones and they will perform accordingly. With the cameras out of the way, let's go ahead and see how much or how little power these smart guys actually have.
That's what I'm saying, you know?
Once again, we've got more of the same here, as both of our review units are powered by the Exynos 1330 chipset. In some markets though, the A16 5G carries a MediaTek Dimensity 6300 instead. For RAM, we are looking at the entry-level 4GB versions, which is the bare minimum Android needs to run its full version. Here's a quick breakdown of the available storage configuration types and USB standards, but keep in mind that some of these variants might not be available everywhere. But to really see what these budget phones can do, we threw them into some real-world testing, starting with gaming. We ran 30-minute sessions with cooldown time in between. First up, Grid Auto Sport. We tweaked the settings file to unlock 60 FPS in graphics mode, since it is capped at 30 by default. Both phones hit a maximum of 51 FPS, but they also had some serious frame drops. The A17 performed better than the A16, dropping to a minimum of 23 FPS. However, the A16 did get hotter, hitting 48 degrees Celsius. Next, we launched Withering Waves and cranked the graphics all the way up. Here, it was a total fail for both, as they stuttered like crazy and only reached around 25 FPS before intermittently dropping all the way to 0 frames. Plus, both got kind of warm, hitting around 48 degrees Celsius. Moving on from gaming, we exported 99 photos in Lightroom. Things didn't get much better here, as both took more than a full 20 minutes just to export those photos. Yikes! Next, we rendered a 1.5-minute 4K 30fps video in KineMaster. This time, they were definitely much quicker, both taking just around 1 minute and 40 seconds. But now let's check out some benchmarks. In Geekbench 6, the A17 did show a slightly better score compared to the A16, but the difference wasn't that huge. Just for reference, a mid-ranger like the A56 hits around 1,300 points in single-core and a bit less than 4,000 in multi-core. In 3D Mark's Wildlife Extreme stress test, we have virtually the same low scores, but also no throttling at all, which is a good thing, right? Again, for reference, the Galaxy A56 manages to maintain around 1,300 points in both the best and lowest loop. In Antutu, once again, the A17 scores a better number, though yet again, the difference is not really that substantial. And lastly, we ran the CPDT benchmark to measure read and write speeds. As you can see, there are no huge differences here either, which proves both phones share the same storage types. So all in all, these tests show that these phones are not made for highly demanding tasks, but more for basic phone stuff like calls, messages, web surfing, and maybe some Candy Crush. We reference those more powerful devices not to shame these budget Galaxies, but more to give you a reality check and show you the limits of what these phones can actually do. And now let's dive into the software side of things. The A16 launched with One UI 6.1 and the A17 with One UI 7, but right now both of these phones are running One UI 8, which is based on Android 16. For software support, Samsung is giving both of these Galaxies 6 years of both OS and security patches. This means the A16 should keep getting updates until October 2030 and the A17 until August 2031. Since these aren't super powerful devices, you're getting a pretty watered down version of One UI with just the essentials. You still get the sleek new interface, icons, and personalization options, but nothing more. And for all you anti-AI warriors out there, you'll be happy to know that there's basically no Samsung AI here, other than Google's own Circle to Search and Gemini, which to be fair, we think are handy to have even on basic phones like these. However, those 4GB of RAM are definitely concerning. You can expect some minor stuttering here and there, even during normal use. We're personally a little worried about how these phones will perform in the years to come, especially since Samsung is promising 6 years of updates. Honestly, we wouldn't be surprised if Google raises the minimum RAM requirements for future Android versions, and these phones see their update plan cut short. But there's still one key category left for us to examine, so let's carry on. To get you through your day, both of these phones pack the exact same 5,000 mAh battery pack, and they both charge at the same 25 watts wired speed. Since these are budget phones, there is no wireless charging on either one. As we saw, neither of these are gaming phones, but the A17 does come with battery bypass for when you're gaming while plugged into a 25 watt or higher PPS charger. Seriously, that's a feature every phone should have nowadays. In our charging test using a 100 watts charger, the A17 was the first to fully charge taking 1 hour and 25 minutes, peaking right at its maximum supported speed of 25 watts. The A16 wasn't far behind, fully charging in 1 hour and 37 minutes, also peaking at 25 watts. Now, the great thing about these phones is that the damage to your wallet is basically minimal. The Galaxy A17 hasn't dropped in the US yet, but in Europe, it kept the same price tag as the A16 5G when it was released. So technically, both phones should sit right around that $199 mark. However, since the A16 5G is now a year old, we're sure you can find multiple sweet deals on it already. Altogether, as we saw, the Galaxy A17 isn't bringing a ton of new stuff to the table. We're mostly looking at better screen protection with Victus, barely better performance, and a slight improvement on the charging times. So we think that you'd be better off just snatching an A16, especially considering offers and long software support. Still, both of these budget phones are perfect for people who just need a device to connect with friends, scroll through social media, and surf the web. However, if you think you'll ever need a bit more muscle, going for a Galaxy A36 or A56 would definitely be a better idea. And if you want to check out how the rest of the A series compares, the A16, 26, 36, and A56, make sure to boop this link right here for a full breakdown. By the way, can you guess how many times we said the word same throughout the video? Make your guesses in the comments below. As a hint, it's more than 10 times. Oh, and that last one doesn't count. And before you go grab that snack you probably shouldn't, don't forget to give us a big thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and hit subscribe as we're always testing new devices to help you make the best choice. We'll see you in our next video, and until then, take care. 17 times.